Hey everyone, welcome to Toon Talks. Today we're diving into the chaotic and hilarious world of Kid vs. Kat. This recap will take you through all the episodes from Season 1, including bonus episodes you don't want to miss. So grab a snack, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride as we follow Coop's epic battle against his mischievous alien cat, Mr. Kat. Before we start, choose which side you're on. If you love a cat, subscribe to the channel and like the video. And if you love Coop, then subscribe and write a comment. Let the games begin. We dive right into the chaos as Coop Burtonburger's life is turned upside down when his younger sister, Millie, brings home a strange-looking cat she names Mr. Kat. But Coop quickly realizes that Mr. Kat is not an ordinary feline. He's actually an alien with a hidden agenda. Kat has high-tech gadgets, mysterious powers, and a mind of his own, setting up an intense rivalry with Coop, who becomes determined to reveal Kat's true nature. The episode is filled with slapstick moments as Coop tries to expose Kat's secrets, only to end up in trouble with his dad, Bert, who thinks Coop is just overreacting to having a new pet. This setup introduces us to the show's central conflict, with Coop constantly outsmarted by Kat's tricks, leading to a fun, fast-paced showdown right from the beginning. Night of the Zombie Cat. Coop and Dennis are watching a horror movie about zombie cats taking over. After the film, Coop is already spooked, and Kat seizes the opportunity to mess with him. Using flour to appear ghostly, Kat lurks around, giving Coop the scare of his life. As he tries to convince his dad and Millie that there's a zombie invasion, his fear only grows, but everyone else dismisses him. When Coop reaches out to Dennis on the phone for support, Dennis suggests that maybe zombie cats could be real, adding to Coop's paranoia. Throughout the night, Kat continues his ghostly act, but no one believes Coop, leaving him to face his fears alone. As usual, things escalate, and Coop ends up grounded when his dad finds him in yet another strange situation thanks to Kat's manipulations. This episode ramps up the stakes, showing just how devious Kat can be while Coop's attempts to stop him make him look like the troublemaker. Trespassers will be persecuted. Coop's frustration with Mr. Kat, Millie's innocent pet cat who's anything but ordinary, reaches new heights. Coop knows Kat is an alien, and he's determined to prove it, but his efforts usually end in disaster. This time, Coop's plan is to catch Kat in the act during one of his sneaky attacks. Teaming up with his best friend Dennis, Coop sets a trap in the yard. They pitch a tent to sleep outside, hoping that Kat won't be able to resist the chance to strike. Their plan includes setting up dummies to trick Kat into mistaking them for Coop and Dennis, so he'll go on the offensive. When that happens, Coop intends to catch Kat in action and expose him once and for all. But things don't go as planned. Kat quickly sees through their setup, and their antics end up disturbing the next-door neighbor, Mrs. Munson, a stern woman who seems to despise Coop and always catches him in trouble. Furious, Mrs. Munson threatens Coop, warning him and his dad that any more mischief on her property will lead to serious consequences. When Coop tries to explain it was all Kat's fault, his dad doesn't believe him, making Coop look like the troublemaker again. The episode ends with Coop's frustration boiling over as his plan backfires once more, while Kat gets off scot-free. This episode sets the stage for Coop's relentless attempts to reveal Kat's evil nature and the constant trouble he finds himself in because of it. Meow, meow, meow. Episode begins with Mr. Kat stirring up trouble again, but this time it's not with his usual schemes. Instead, he starts meowing non-stop, disrupting the peace in Coop's house. The relentless noise drives Coop, his family, and even the neighbors up the wall. To address the problem, Coop's dad buys a high-tech corrective collar meant to discipline noisy pets with gentle instructions. But in a twist of bad luck, the collar accidentally latches onto Coop instead of Mr. Kat. Now Coop finds himself stuck with a collar that loudly critiques and instructs his every move, often at the most embarrassing moments. The collar's voice constantly scolds him to sit up straight, speak properly, and even chides him in front of his teacher and classmates, getting him into trouble at school. Meanwhile, Kat watches smugly, free from the collar and entirely unfazed by the chaos he's caused. Eventually, Coop manages to get the collar off, but by then he's left frustrated and exhausted by the ordeal. The episode wraps up with Coop facing the fallout once again, while Mr. Kat escapes without any blame, still appearing as innocent as ever. Do not forsake me. In this episode, Coop and Dennis set out to build the ultimate tree fort, hoping it will become their dream clubhouse. Coop is especially excited because he sees it as a chance to escape Kat's constant tricks and pranks. But things don't go as planned. Ever-scheming Kat spots the tall tree fort and decides to use it for his own purposes. Kat climbs up the fort and uses its height to amplify his collar, boosting his communication device. With this extra range, Kat begins reaching out to other cats from his home planet. Coop and Dennis notice Kat's odd behavior and realize something suspicious is going on. They soon figure out that Kat isn't just playing around, he's trying to contact alien forces. Coop races to stop Kat before he makes real contact, leading to a wild showdown in the tree fort. Once again, Coop ends up struggling to prove Kat's true nature. Cookie. Coop lands in hot water over a cookie disaster. His little sister Millie has baked a batch of cookies, and when one mysteriously goes missing, Coop is the first to get blamed. No one believes his protests of innocence, not his family, not his friends. Secretly, Kat is the cookie thief, and he takes full advantage of the situation, playing innocent while Coop's reputation suffers. Determined to clear his name, Coop sets out to uncover the real culprit. He soon realizes that Kat has been behind the cookie theft all along, stirring up trouble just to get him blamed again. Coop tries to expose Kat's mischief. The episode ends with Coop frustrated and defeated, while Kat enjoys yet another victory. Nip Duck. In Nip Duck, Coop's dad decides it's time to take Mr. Kat to the vet for his very first checkup, including a much-needed nail trim. Millie, who adores Kat, is worried about him being scared, but Coop is thrilled at the idea of Kat undergoing some uncomfortable poking and prodding. When they finally get Kat to the vet, things start to get strange. The vet, after examining Kat, realizes something unusual. He can't find a heartbeat. Coop's suspicious, hoping the x-rays will finally reveal Kat's true nature as an alien. But as the examination progresses, Kat's sneaky antics cause chaos, ultimately driving the vet to give up entirely. The episode ends with Coop frustrated once again, while Kat, unfazed by the vet, returns to his usual mischief. Search and detoy. In the second half of the episode, Coop and Dennis are ecstatic when Coop's dad buys a remote-controlled helicopter. But their fun is short-lived. While Coop and Dennis test out the helicopter's limits, Kat interferes, causing it to crash onto the yard of their grumpy neighbor, Old Lady Munson. Determined to get the helicopter back, Coop and Dennis hatch a plan to sneak onto Munson's property. The mission is complicated by Munson's high-tech security system, but the boys persist, determined to retrieve their prized possession. Eventually, a showdown ensues, and Munson is left outraged, vowing to keep anything that lands in her yard. Coop's dad doesn't punish him, but recognizes the boys' effort, leaving Coop with a bittersweet victory. Flew the Coop. In Flew the Coop, Coop wakes up feeling sick, but rather than enjoying a restful day at home, he's left alone with Kat, who's ready to cause trouble. Coop's dad checks in via walkie-talkie, insisting Coop rest and drink soup to recover. But with each attempt to nap, Kat disrupts Coop's peace, using the opportunity to create havoc around the house. As Coop's patience wears thin, he tries to outsmart Kat, but his illness slows him down. After a series of back-and-forth battles, Coop finally manages to secure some rest, albeit briefly, before the chaos resumes. By the end, Coop's energy is depleted, and Kat revels in his victory, while Coop's dad, oblivious to the chaos, simply thinks spending time with Kat has made Coop feel better. Class act. Coop's class is preparing for a school play, but his efforts to avoid Mr. Kat are thwarted when Kat manages to join him at school. The play is chaotic as Coop tries to avoid Kat while still performing. As Coop grapples with his lines and Kat's interruptions, the performance devolves into a slapstick disaster. But the real magic happens when Kat actually vanishes from sight, leaving Coop and Dennis to wonder if they've somehow performed a real magic spell. Unbeknownst to them, Kat has found a way to teleport himself to the House of Swap, where he's attempting to acquire a mysterious item. In the end, the friends manage to escape from the cat's traps and make sure that the cat is found again by Coop's sister. Hypno Kat Coop attempts a daring jump on his skateboard, but Kat sabotages it, sending Coop into a frustrated chase. When Coop tries to lock Kat outside for the night as payback, Kat gathers neighborhood cats into an army to support him. The next morning, Coop tries to reveal Kat's plot to his dad, but his dad only sees an innocent, cold cat. Desperate to prove himself, Coop and Dennis use a laser pointer to distract the cats, but the batteries die. After a series of chaotic attempts, Coop manages to disperse the cat army, though Kat emerges unscathed, once again leaving Coop in disbelief. The Allergy. When Coop notices that his dad sneezes whenever Kat is around, he and Dennis try to make his dad think he's allergic to Kat, hoping it will force Kat out of the house. They sprinkle irritants to trigger sneezing fits, but the plan backfires as Coop's dad mistakenly concludes he's allergic to Coop. Feeling guilty and fearing he might be sent away, Coop is relieved when his dad tries an alternative solution, a bubble suit to prevent exposure to allergens. While Coop comes to terms with his dad's new suit, Kat remains victorious, successfully dodging Coop's latest plan. Just me and Coop and his dad are excited to build a rare model robot together, but their plans go awry when Coop accidentally glues himself to Kat using superglue. Forced to cooperate, the two struggle to tolerate each other while they're literally stuck side by side. When the unfinished robot goes rogue due to Kat's meddling, Coop and Kat must work together to avoid being eliminated by their own creation. With some teamwork and creativity, they finally defeat the robot, but not without causing a mess, leaving Coop to clean up while Kat slinks away, victorious yet again. You'll be so sorry. Phoebe invites Coop to watch her pet win a neighborhood pet pageant, sparking a rivalry between Phoebe's pet and Millie's Mr. Cat. Seeing this as a chance to be rid of Kat, Coop decides to help train him, hoping Kat will win and be sent away on tour. But when Coop learns that winning would mean traveling with Kat, he switches tactics to sabotage Kat's chances. After several hilarious attempts at ruining Kat's performance, Coop ends up causing a scene, while Kat effortlessly dodges his tricks and even wins Millie's favor. The episode closes with Coop's plan backfiring, leaving him to deal with Kat's continued reign in the household. How the test was won. Coop needs to ace his science test to make up for a disastrous report card, but Kat won't make it easy. As Coop tries to study, Kat unleashes distractions, including loud music, turkey aromas, and sabotage study tools. Despite these obstacles, Coop learns physics concepts like gravity and centrifugal force through his real-life struggles with Kat's tricks. On test day, Coop barely escapes Kat's booby traps and races to school, applying his new knowledge to outsmart Kat's sabotage. Coop's efforts pay off when he scores a B+ and impresses his dad, though the house is left in shambles thanks to Kat. I am okay, you're a cat. Coop's bad grades and constant battles with Kat leave him feeling hopeless until his dad gives him a self-help tape. The tape's subliminal messages help Coop stay positive, at first. Coop's sunny disposition frustrates Kat, who tampers with the tape to make Coop overly obedient to Kat's whims. Under Kat's influence, Coop becomes a pushover, feeding Kat endless treats and bowing to his every demand. Realizing Kat's scheme, Coop fights back by channeling his inner bad boy, but his newfound aggression alienates everyone. Eventually, Coop breaks free from Kat's control, though not without chaos, earning a little respect from his dad for taking responsibility. Dial B for Babysitter. When Coop's dad hires a babysitter, every option falls through, leaving them with none other than Mrs. Munson. Coop knows this will be trouble, especially as she constantly enforces her own harsh rules. Meanwhile, Kat sneaks around with a high-tech collar, up to his usual secretive experiments. Coop seizes the chance to turn Mrs. Munson against Kat, and after some antics involving a stinky collar, Mrs. Munson mistakenly scolds and bathes Kat, not realizing the true nature of the device. Coop's plan backfires, though, as Mrs. Munson enlists him to help repair her gnomes, leaving Coop facing a night of grueling yard work. The grass is always meaner. Coop's quest to own the hottest toy, a Captain Blasteroid helmet, hinges on his dad's approval. When Kat's high-tech lawn experiment blackens the entire yard, Mrs. Munson demands they restore it for a gardening competition. With Dennis's help, Coop endures endless chores, from painting the fence to mowing, under Mrs. Munson's intense scrutiny. Despite their efforts, Kat's antics nearly ruin the yard again. On contest day, however, the yard's quirky last-minute look wins the prize. Coop and Dennis celebrate as Coop's dad rewards them with new Captain Blasteroid gloves, only to find out the entire neighborhood has them too. One big happy family. During spring cleaning, Coop is determined to expose Kat's diabolical antics to his dad. However, his plan backfires when Kat cleverly evades getting caught, leaving Coop to take the blame for the chaos, including destroying a prized vase and getting the family stuck in the storage room. Coop is confined to a square on a stool as punishment, but even from there he tries to stop Kat's mischief. Things escalate when Kat sabotages a batch of cupcakes, leading to even more mayhem. Ultimately, Coop finds himself grounded for a month, but he relishes the idea of a cat-free room, until Millie and Kat invade it anyway. Happy campers. The Burtonburgers head into the wilderness for a real camping experience, but Coop's dad's traditional approach clashes with their high-tech neighbors, the Lawrences. Meanwhile, Kat's antics lead him to a bear cub, putting both Kat and the cub in danger of a mama bear's wrath. Coop and Dennis must work together to save the cub and distract Kat, creating even more chaos in the forest. After a long day of camping challenges and near disasters, Coop learns to appreciate the simpler joys of the outdoors, though the trip leaves everyone, including Kat, thoroughly humbled by nature. UF Float. As the Bootsville parade approaches, Coop's dad tasks him with building the best float for the House of Swap. Coop enthusiastically dives into the project, but Kat's meddling quickly turns the simple UFO-themed float into an intergalactic disaster. Despite Millie's attempts to help, and take credit, Kat uses the float to execute his own alien plan. Coop and Dennis scramble to stop him, resulting in chaos that sends the float careening through town. Just when it seems like everything is ruined, Coop manages to salvage the float, but not before uncovering Kat's attempt to use it for an escape. In the end, the float makes the front page for all the wrong reasons, much to Coop's frustration. Play and ice. Coop and Dennis are thrilled to transform the backyard into an ice rink for some winter fun. But Kat has other plans, using the frozen surface to hide something dangerous beneath the ice. Coop and Dennis turn the rink into an elaborate ice fortress to thwart Kat's digging attempts, leading to an epic slippery battle. As the boys defend their icy stronghold, they discover Kat's secret, a hidden stash of alien supplies meant to arm an invasion. Using quick thinking and a flood of water, they manage to refreeze the stash and lock it away. The day ends with a frosty truce, though Coop knows Kat is already planning his next move. House of Scream. Coop's family is hosting their annual haunted house fundraiser at the House of Swap, and this year Coop is thrilled to be in charge of hosting the tour. With Dennis's help, they create spooky attractions like a slime-filled swamp, creepy skeletons, and a medieval dungeon. But Kat has other plans, sabotaging the harmless scares to turn them into real dangerous traps. As Coop struggles to keep the tour safe, guests, including an unimpressed Phoebe and a skeptical Mrs. Munson, navigate the increasingly perilous haunted house. In the end, Coop manages to stop Kat's antics, and the night ends with a hilariously chaotic tour. Despite the scares going off script, everyone loves the thrills, earning Coop a surprised "great job" from his dad. Planter's Warp. When Coop starts a school science project to grow a carrot, Kat secretly spikes the water with alien fertilizer, causing the plants to grow into monstrous, sentient creations. Coop is initially praised for his gardening skills, but the plants quickly get out of control, trapping him and Dennis in a jungle-like nightmare. As the plants spread through the house, Coop and Dennis use Millie's off-key singing and weed spray to tame the overgrowth. In a final battle with Kat, they manage to destroy the mutant plants, but not before the garden guru arrives to declare Coop a gardening prodigy. Though their house is left in ruins, Coop gets off the hook thanks to his award-winning plants. Curse of Tutankitty's Tomb. On a school trip to the Bootsville Museum, Coop discovers an ancient Egyptian exhibit featuring a cat deity called Tutankitty, eerily resembling Kat. Legend says Tutankitty was cursed and entombed to prevent it from unleashing chaos. Coop is horrified when Kat begins meddling with the exhibit, attempting to awaken the mummified Tutankitty and its cat army. With Dennis's help, Coop uses every trick in the museum, including the guard dog, to thwart Kat's plans, leading to a chaotic series of events involving runaway chariots and collapsing exhibits. In the end, Kat's plan is foiled, but not before the museum is declared closed due to ancient curses. Pet Peeved. Millie makes a new best friend, Molly, and quickly shifts all her attention away from Kat. Thrilled by the prospect of a cat-free life, Coop encourages Millie's new friendship. However, Kat struggles with being ignored and attempts to reclaim Millie's attention, resulting in chaos around the house. When Millie finally realizes she's been neglecting Kat, she's devastated to find him missing, having wandered off in search of a new home. Coop reluctantly helps Millie track Kat, discovering him in the overly doting care of Harriet, who's attempted to knit Kat a new coat. A messy rescue ensues, with Kat happily returning to Millie. Coop's relief is short-lived as Kat immediately resumes his usual antics, restoring normalcy in the Burtonburger household. Don't give me no static. Coop scrambles to complete his science project, but Kat's endless antics make it impossible. When Kat generates a powerful static electricity field, Coop's attempts to outsmart him result in ruined models and rising frustration. Desperate, Coop cobbles together a last-minute contraption that he barely understands. At school, the accidental machine shocks everyone, including the teacher, by creating a unique static electricity field that attracts random objects like Fishy Frisky bits. Impressed, the teacher awards Coop an A, much to his surprise. However, the static overload builds to an explosive climax, leaving everyone and everything covered in laundry sheets, much to Coop's annoyance. Storm drained. The Bulldogs prepare for their big game against the Timberlake Otters, and Coop is elected team captain under the pressure of breaking a 40-year losing streak. Meanwhile, Kat uses his gadgets to wreak havoc on the weather, creating storms, hail, and unbearable heat to disrupt the game. Despite Kat's interference, Coop and Dennis rally their teammates to keep playing. Coop finally steps up to bat and hits the winning home run, securing a long overdue victory for the Bulldogs. The game ends on a high note for Coop, but Kat is left sulking after his plans to sabotage the game fail miserably. Fishy Frisky business? Coop eagerly tries to set a new record with his bouncy ball, but his excitement is cut short during a chaotic shopping trip to the colossal Coupon Mart. While Millie insists on taking Kat along, Coop's antics and Kat's mischief result in a massive food spill and Coop being banned from the store. Determined to retrieve his prized ball, Coop sneaks back in and accidentally helps thwart a robbery orchestrated by Kat's chaos. In the end, Coop is hailed as a hero, earns his redemption, and even manages to reclaim his bouncy ball. Teed off. Bert finds his old golf clubs and tries to teach Coop the art of golf, but Coop and Dennis are roped into a heated father-son rivalry between Bert and Mr. Burton. The two dads compete to see who has the better golfing protege, leading to a chaotic backyard course with elaborate hazards, including one of Kat's bizarre devices. As the game spirals into absurdity, Coop and Dennis put aside their dad's rivalry, reconcile as friends, and use teamwork to win the game. Bert celebrates their victory, but Kat's sneaky involvement ensures that the day ends in comedic chaos. Something fishy in Owl Lake? Coop and Millie join their dads for the annual father-son fishing derby at Owl Lake. While the adults are distracted by their own competitive antics, Coop and Millie uncover strange happenings on the lake, suspecting the legendary lake monster Bongo Boingo might be real. As their fishing strategies get more outlandish, the duo ends up winning the derby, but not without causing some hilarious chaos, including an unexpected partnership with Mrs. Munson and her unconventional fishing techniques. Dire education. Coop and Millie take part in Bring Your Parent to School Day, where Coop hopes to impress his classmates by showing off his dad's skills. However, Mr. Kat's antics steal the show, leading to a food fight and a series of unfortunate events that disrupt Coop's plan. Despite the chaos, Coop ultimately proves himself, with his dad by his side as they resolve the mess and end up working together to solve a mystery involving the elusive Mr. Kat, ending the day on a surprisingly positive note with some well-deserved ice cream. Crouching Cooper, hidden cat. Coop is embarrassed when his younger sister, Millie, beats him in a martial arts sparring match, so he decides to take martial arts lessons to prove he's no pushover. With Dennis as his reluctant instructor, Coop trains hard, adopting various fighting styles inspired by nature, though his progress is hilariously slow. After some chaos and a series of comical failures, Coop eventually faces off with his biggest rival, Kat. Though Coop struggles at first, his confidence builds, and he's ready to take on Kat's antics in the ultimate showdown. However, things take a twist when Coop discovers his martial arts inspiration was just his grandfather's movie theater scripts, not actual kung fu wisdom. Tomcat Foolery. Coop's attempts to be the king of April Fool's pranks backfire in an epic way. As he teams up with Dennis and Millie for some outrageous pranks around town, Coop finds himself caught in his own web of tricks, especially when Kat decides to raise the stakes by pulling off an even bigger prank. From fake UFO sightings to pie-in-the-face gags, Coop's pranks lead to hilarious mishaps, and he ends up in a prank war with Kat. In the end, Coop learns that sometimes the best prank is knowing when to quit, and that his dad, the original Prince of Pranks, is still the reigning champion. In Dog We Trust, Coop and Dennis find a huge stray dog, Bruiser, and Coop agrees to let him stay under the condition that they find his owner. As Coop attempts to train Bruiser, things go hilariously wrong, especially when Mr. Kat decides to stir up trouble. Coop's attempts to teach the dog obedience using a high-pitched whistle lead to chaos. After a series of mishaps, Coop finally decides to search for the dog's owner, and Bruiser is eventually returned. Although Bruiser's stay is short-lived, Coop learns a valuable lesson in responsibility. Catch my drift. Coop and Dennis, determined to win the legendary Boots Hill demolition run, create an ultra-fast sled called Ice Lightning. However, Mr. Kat sabotages their race, adding unexpected challenges along the way. As Coop faces the dangers of the race, including hidden booby traps and snowstorms, he and his friends push forward with the goal of finishing for all the kids who never completed the run. In the end, Coop triumphs, winning the race and securing a sweet reward: 24 muffins from Mrs. Munson, whom he helped shovel snow for. Suddenly, last slammer, Coop and Dennis team up for a daring adventure when Coop's paper route leads them into an eerie, foggy night. As they deliver papers, they begin to notice something strange: an alien cat invasion that seems to be trying to destroy their papers. Amidst chaos and confusion, the boys, with the help of some over-the-top imagination, concoct a story of a supervillain cat who wants to take over the world. Their wild tale includes a high-tech rescue mission, but despite their proof, a shaky video, the adults dismiss their claims. The cops find it all too absurd, but they eventually clear the air, realizing it was just an elaborate game. However, Coop's dad is still skeptical about the story's real source, until Mr. Kat makes a sudden reappearance. The kitty vanishes. In this episode, Coop's day takes a turn when he is invited to Phoebe's party, but has to find a way to escape his dad's yard work demands. Meanwhile, a mystery unfolds when a cat burglar starts stealing from the neighborhood, and Coop is caught in the middle of the investigation. At Phoebe's party, Coop discovers Mr. Kat's strange behavior, and things take a humorous turn as they uncover the thief's true identity. The cat burglar is none other than Mr. Kat, who has been stealing for a mysterious feline purpose. Coop tries to stop the theft, leading to a series of slapstick moments as he battles to thwart the crime. In the end, everything comes together as Coop finally makes it to Phoebe's party, proving that sometimes even the wildest stories hold a kernel of truth. Capture the Cat, Coop and his friends gear up for an intense game of Capture the Flag, but tensions rise when Millie and Phoebe join in, splitting the teams unevenly. Coop's team quickly realizes that the opposing vampire flaggers are surprisingly cunning, with Millie leading the charge. Amidst the chaos, Mr. Kat stirs up trouble by setting traps that escalate the friendly game into a full-scale battle. Both teams resort to creative cheating, setting up booby traps and ambushes to outwit each other. Despite Coop's best efforts, the vampire flaggers claim victory, leaving Coop fuming and demanding a rematch. The game ends in hilarious pandemonium, with Coop and his team vowing to reclaim their honor in the next round. Outer Space Case. Coop and Dennis are thrilled to discover that Old Lady Munson possesses a treasure trove of rare Captain Blasteroid collectibles, including a never-before-seen prototype helmet. Suspicious of how she obtained such exclusive items, the boys sneak into her house, only to stumble upon Mr. Kat plotting to use Blasteroid tech for one of his evil schemes. With Millie unwittingly aiding the chaos, Coop and Dennis hatch a plan to stop Kat. Their antics lead to a dramatic showdown in Munson's attic, which turns out to be a perfect replica of Captain Blasteroid's mission control. Despite the destruction, Coop and Dennis manage to thwart Kat's plan, but not before learning that Munson's mysterious connection to the Captain Blasteroid franchise might make her cooler than they thought. Buzz off. Coop and his family are gearing up for Bootsville Day, a local festival celebrating the town's history. This year, Millie lands the starring role in the reenactment of La Boot, the town's founder, which means she gets all the glory. Coop, on the other hand, is stuck as the mosquito wrangler, tasked with keeping the pests at bay while Millie enjoys the spotlight. Things get complicated when Mr. Kat tries to outdo Coop with his own mosquito-repellent gadgets, which lead to hilarious disasters. Coop's attempts to save the day using bug spray and mosquito nets only make things worse, and the whole situation spirals out of control. In the end, Coop learns that sometimes being the behind-the-scenes hero is just as important as being in the spotlight. Fat Cat. After Mr. Kat's overindulgence in food, Coop and Millie notice that he's gotten incredibly overweight. Determined to help him lose the extra pounds, Coop starts a workout routine for Mr. Kat, using everything from exercise drills to energy food to motivate him. However, Coop's well-meaning attempts to get Mr. Kat in shape only lead to more chaos, especially when he rewards Mr. Kat with even more unhealthy snacks. As Coop and Millie try to find a solution, the situation goes from bad to worse. In the end, they come up with a new plan to help Mr. Kat lose weight by switching his diet to healthier food, but not without a lot of funny moments along the way. The Cat Whisperer. When Coop's constant fights with Mr. Kat push his dad to consider rehoming him, Coop tries cat whispering to fix the problem. Surprisingly, Coop succeeds, and Mr. Kat becomes obedient, though Millie is jealous of Coop's control over her pet. The situation escalates when neighbors bring their unruly animals to Coop, turning the Burtonburger house into a chaotic zoo. Eventually, Coop discovers Mr. Kat has been faking his obedience all along, but the ordeal proves Coop's unexpected knack for handling animals. Bend it like Burtonburger. Coop becomes the soccer team's star player, but alienates his teammates with his ball hogging. Meanwhile, Mr. Kat builds robot players to disrupt Coop's games. When the robots attack, Coop and Dennis team up to defeat them, learning the importance of teamwork. By the end, Coop becomes a better team player, and the group bonds over their victory, leaving Mr. Kat to clean up his robotic mess. Stall that jazz. Coop's dad surprises him with a drum set, rekindling Coop's excitement for music. But Mr. Kat's hatred for noise leads to a sabotage spree, leaving Coop's drums and other noisemakers in ruins. Coop retaliates by making as much noise as possible, only for Millie to join the chaos with her singing, turning their home into a cacophonous nightmare. Even their dad joins in with his clarinet, much to the annoyance of everyone, including Mrs. Munson. Eventually, Coop, Millie, and their dad take their jam session outside, where things escalate into comedic mayhem. Mr. Kat is left frazzled, but Coop manages to end the day with a small victory by salvaging his love for music. Under destruction. When Coop accidentally causes damage to the house, his dad begins renovations and assigns Coop and Millie tasks as helpers. Coop's attempts to help are consistently foiled by Mr. Kat, who uses the construction chaos to unleash his alien gadgets. Coop tries to prove Kat is behind the mishaps, but his dad remains skeptical and threatens to turn Coop's dream game room into a cat sanctuary if the destruction doesn't stop. Despite several setbacks and close calls, Coop finally finishes his tasks. However, Kat's antics lead to one last disaster that destroys both Millie's princess castle and Coop's game room. Coop ends the episode grounded, but not before salvaging some satisfaction by foiling one of Kat's gadgets. Beware of Were-Coop. Coop and Dennis suspect Kat of harnessing the moon's energy for a sinister plan, but things get complicated when Kat bites Coop. Dennis becomes convinced that Coop is turning into a Were-Cat, especially as Coop's behavior grows stranger. Yarn in his room, a sudden appetite for fishy treats, and feline tendencies. Despite Coop's insistence that it's all a misunderstanding, Dennis takes precautions with silver spoons and wolfsbane, preparing for a full transformation. As the moon rises, they uncover Kat's true scheme, powering a machine using moon energy. Together, they foil Kat's plan, but not before hilarity ensues with Dennis's over-the-top Were-Cat theories. Trick or threat? It's Halloween, and Coop is ready for solo trick-or-treating until he's stuck babysitting Millie. While trying to collect candy and avoid embarrassment, Coop discovers Kat's latest plot, using a portal to another dimension to import supplies for an alien invasion. The duo's night of spooks turns chaotic as Coop and Dennis infiltrate Kat's operation, battling trash can robots and dodging lasers in a graveyard. They shut down the portal just in time, but Coop misses out on candy, leaving him with only one reward, the satisfaction of saving the world again. Kattack. Millie auditions for Sing Your Way to Stardom, planning to dedicate her performance to her lucky charm, Phoebe, who misunderstands and announces the song will be for Coop. Coop panics, dreading the humiliation of being associated with Phoebe on live TV. Meanwhile, Mr. Kat hijacks Coop's dad's universal remote, using it to control various devices in the neighborhood. Coop and Dennis devise a plan to sabotage the satellite broadcast, ensuring Phoebe's song doesn't air. With a makeshift mirror ball, they disrupt the satellite signal just in time, sparing Coop the embarrassment. In the end, Phoebe loses the competition, leaving Coop relieved, though still baffled by Kat's schemes. It's a rocket, man. Coop and Dennis join the Bootsville Observatory's rocket club to improve their grades, but Coop struggles with building a functioning rocket. Meanwhile, Mr. Kat secretly modifies Coop's rocket for his own nefarious plan to destroy an orbiting satellite. During the final launch, Coop's rocket unexpectedly sets a new altitude record, drawing praise from everyone. However, Coop soon realizes Kat's involvement and races to stop him. With quick thinking, Coop foils Kat's plan, saving the satellite. The episode ends with Coop earning respect for his rocket performance, even though the true heroics remain unknown to everyone but him. Kid vs. Kat vs. Christmas, Part 1. With Christmas approaching, Coop resolves to avoid conflicts with Mr. Kat to preserve the holiday spirit. Coop's dad, Bert, works hard to create the perfect family Christmas, eagerly awaiting a visit from Coop's grandparents. Meanwhile, Millie obsesses over her wish list and presents, while Coop worries that Kat will ruin everything. When Bert and Coop venture out to chop down a tree, Kat's meddling causes chaos, but Coop keeps his cool. Coop's grandparents face travel delays, but their calls reassure the family they'll make it for Christmas. At the mall, Coop and Dennis discover Kat plotting mischief. Coop's efforts to stop Kat lead to disaster, including a mall ban for the family. Back home, Bert finds solace in baking traditional cookies, while Coop braces for more cat trouble. Despite everything, Coop tries to hold on to his holiday resolve. Kid vs. Kat vs. Christmas, Part 2. On Christmas Eve, Coop's patience with Kat wears thin after a series of pranks, culminating in a popcorn string fiasco. The ceasefire between Coop and Kat shatters, leading to a snowball fight that turns into a battle of wills. Amid the chaos, Coop's grandparents finally arrive, guided by a stray dog they adopted along the way. Christmas morning brings peace as Coop exchanges heartfelt gifts with his dad, including a handcrafted tree topper. The family comes together, and even Millie finds unexpected joy. Despite Kat's antics, Coop reflects that Christmas isn't about perfection, but about family being together, no matter the challenges. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it. I wish you to celebrate Christmas this year as much fun as Coop and Mr. Kat did, and that your whole family will be with you because this is a wonderful holiday. And I will also be grateful if you write a few words in the comments about the video. And see you in the next one.